All right, so here's my review of Civilization 7. As someone who has been playing the franchise since, well, Civilization Revolution in 2008, I played like a tiny amount of Civ 4, a lot of Civ 5, a lot of Civ 6. So here's the next installment. I even played Civilization Beyond Earth. I've had a pretty close connection with Firaxis for a while now. But with that said, I've been very vocal with my worry about Civ 7 because it is so drastically different from the other installments. So just to start things off, let's get it going. And at the end of this video, I'm going to give my numerical review of how many points I thought it, or how good I give it out of 10. And yeah, so stay tuned for that. But let's just jump into it and let's just talk about some of the most controversial things. Now that I've had a lot of time to play it and I've released videos on it, I got even more videos coming out on it. I got to be honest, I still don't know how I feel about the age transitions. And I feel like many people are going to share that sentiment at some points. So sometimes I like the age transitions, to be honest, and other times I don't. There's times where I'm like, this is kind of annoying. This is a little bit, because I'm kind of in the middle of doing something, and then boom, we have to go to the next age, and everything that I was doing before has to stop. And a lot of creators have said this, and I somewhat agree that it's like, I see why this is the direction to go in. Civ is very tedious. It can be a very tedious game. Apparently, like, nobody was finishing Civ 6 games, which when I look back at it, when I look at my own experience with Civ 6, I honestly barely finished Civ 6 games. If it wasn't for me creating Civ 6 content, the vast majority of my campaigns probably wouldn't have been finished either. But I would finish them here on YouTube. But in my personal games, I would get to the mid game and I'd stop. It does its job where, like, I do like a Civ game being separated into 3 different parts, and that feels kind of good. But yeah, like I said, like, you have one thing in mind, and then all of a sudden a new age begins, and boom, that whole strategy kind of goes away. So much things change. I was setting a settler out to get a certain spot, and I guess it's kind of on me because you got to be keeping track of the age counter. You know what I mean? When you see at the top left-hand corner that it's at 100%, that means that next turn you're going to turn to the next age. Like, do everything you need to do right there. So maybe I need to play more with that in mind. But if you have like an invasion planned and you don't start, grabbing cities, that could be very annoying. Like, or just anything. Like, if you have anything in mind, when that new age changes, it's like, oh dang, all the units are going to be put back. The upgrades are nice. It's nice that, like, we're never going to see an ancient era warrior unit fight tanks in the modern era, although people loved those memes. But I still need to reflect on this, and I think a lot of people are going to be doing a lot of reflection on this. I think with time, well, I don't really know how you can do it. I know with time, they'll probably make it more smooth, but right now, there are moments where it feels really like a hard stop. It's like, whoa, this is a little crazy. I haven't got to the point where, like, I was forced to go to the next age, and then I just wanted to stop playing the game. I did want to keep going. So it does do a good job of me. It kind of does breathe some fresh air into your games. So that's good. I suppose that's good. On another example, before we go into some of the other things with the era system, is one of the first games I played. Obviously, I was doing terrible, and there was all these crises, and I went way beyond my happiness limit and my settler limit, and then we progressed to the next age, and it was like everything got fixed. Like, my whole empire was like falling apart. It was collapsing around me. And then we went to the next age, and everything was good. And that was an example initially of why I'm like, this age is pretty nice. It kind of fixed a lot of the problems that my empire was having. But then as I reflected back on that moment, like a couple days later, I'm like, but is that the right thing? Because maybe I should have been punished more harshly for expanding too much and taking over too many AI cities and playing the game wrong. But the age system kind of rewarded me playing badly. So that makes me think that's going to be extremely, that's going to be like a meta strategy that people are going to use possibly, where people, are going to expand way too much, take over everything they possibly can, and right before their empire falls apart and starts to revolt, you go to the next stage, and then you keep it? Is that what the strategy is going to be? And I'm sure they're going to be able to patch that. I'm sure they're going to be able to do things to minimize that stuff. But yeah, pretty hit or miss when it comes to the age thing. Second note, which is not necessarily a good thing, is not a fan of religion in the game. It's kind of boring, very tedious. They did such a good Firaxis did such a good job of like removing tediousness from the game. But man, the AI system sucks. The AI does suck, but the religion sucks. It's like, this is boring. You're just sending around missionaries with things, like I said, with them being so focused on removing the tediousness of the game, like having to constantly go around upgrading units, or having to go around choosing production for all of your cities when you have like 16 different cities in your empire. For a game that actively tried to combat against the annoying micromanagement of Civilization, the fact that we still are playing religion like this is a little bit like, you couldn't have done anything better. Again, with a lot of this stuff, with a lot of my complaints, it's like this is probably going to be focused on in a DLC or a free patch at some point. But yeah, religion is not fun. Next up, I literally kind of just got into it. AI sucks. AI sucks. You shouldn't be surprised. With all strategy games, the AI is going to suck on day one. It's not different for Civ. I was there on Civ 5 day one. I was there on Civ 6 day one. Civ 7 AI terrible. AI sucks. So they will that will get better with time. But yeah, if you want, and that's actually written in my notes, if you want to get all those, if you're an achievement hunter and you want to get 100% in Civilization 7, now's the time to do it. If you want to get that easy deity victory, do it now, because the AI is so dumb. Do all the crazy achievements you want right now, because this is the best time to do it. Before they start patching it, before they start making the AI better and better and better, before they start, changing up some of the strats and the meta and things like that. So go for it. That's how most games go, though. This is nothing, this is not necessarily a knock on Firaxis. This is just how gaming works in 2025, and it's been working like this for a while. To be absolutely honest, I guess I know I started this video off, but pretty negative. But I guess I don't have a problem with Civ switching anymore. You can find on this channel me express all my concerns about Civ 7 when they announced all this stuff. I went to a Civ 7 event like 6 months ago, and this is what a lot of the creators were discussing. To be honest, 3 months ago, I did kind of go back on like saying that maybe Civ 7 tries to do a whole lot of new things for the Civ franchise. The one thing that I was fine with, kind of, was letting different leaders lead different Civs. And, they kind of prepped us for that in Civ 6 when they, which one was that? The English leader and the French leader, or I think that lady, she could lead either England or France. They do like little test runs like that in games. They do like a small little test run, see how the community does it, and then they kind of jump in on the next thing. They did it with Civ 5 kind of, and they did it with Civ 6 with this leader switching Civs. I guess I don't have a problem with it, to be honest. I think it's okay. It's, I'm still having problems with like seeing Augustus and just wanting to call him Rome, because it's Augustus. He leads Rome and he has Rome's color. So I want to call him Rome. But, in the game, he's actually, leading, the Chola Empire. So it's like, that's a little confusing. It's not really going to affect, obviously, just if you're playing the game. But as a creator, kind of annoying. I have to say, when it comes to the age transitions, one thing I do like is that it doesn't feel like I'm playing a completely different game. With other 4X games, when they would do like transitions like this, I feel like I was a little bit confused about what was going on in the map, because so much had changed. I'm like, wait, who's now the Chola Empire? Who's now the Normans? It's like, with them leading with the leader that you're playing against, and with the colors not changing, and overall, it doesn't feel too different. The map doesn't feel completely like, you don't feel disoriented. You don't feel confused when you enter into a new era. You still know who's who, and you still have kind of similar relations with them. You'd have to look a little bit closer to be like, oh, now they're the Mongolian Empire. I see. But yes, overall, taking different leaders in with different civs is fine, I guess. Yeah, I guess it's fine. And it is cool to be able to include people like Benjamin Franklin or just people in general that would have never been in a Civ game before. This does open up so many new possibilities for Firaxis to include, people that have never been there before. I mean, Gandhi's a perfect example of Gandhi, never led India exactly, right? But he was in the game. So I guess it's always been a part of the Firaxis lore, kind of, that you can kind of be, not really. He might have been one of the only examples, but I guess I'm fine with that. The minimap, don't love the minimap. I remember people did complain about the minimap in Civ 6. I also think the minimap looks weird here. I also would really like a disable UI mode. The game is so beautiful. Please let me get rid of the UI so I could take like a cool screenshot or anything. Like, the game's absolutely magnificent to look at. That's what everyone's talking about. Absolutely love going back to the Civ 5 art style instead of Civ 6. Civ 6 was never able to outrun the people complaining about it looking too cartoonish. I didn't have really a problem with it, but now playing Civ 7 for a while, I'm like, okay, this art style does look a lot better. It does feel a lot better. Surprised there's no England. That's obviously something that's being discussed a lot. How is there no England civilization to play as? A little bit odd. It's probably going to be here for a DLC, obviously. That's always the thing that, gets discussed with day one strategy games. DLCs and updates. Remember that Civ 5 was Civ 5 had a lifetime of like 6 years. They dropped that in 2010. Civ 6 came out in 2016, so a life cycle of about 6 years. However, they stopped releasing DLCs after the third year. Civ 6 was pushed. Civ 7 was pushed out because of COVID. So Civ 6 released in 2016. We're now just getting Civilization 7 in 2025. But I think and I did want to talk about this. I think that was maybe a good thing. I remember asking the people over at Firaxis if that helped them, and they said it didn't really help them. Being slowed down on the development of Civ 7 because of COVID, because of the pandemic. But honestly, I don't think I believe that. I actually think that it had to have, wouldn't it? It, like, just thinking of the concepts, just being able to sit on more possibilities and more ideas. Like, okay, maybe development did stop in the middle of developing Civ 7 because of the pandemic, and maybe for a couple months there or even a year there they had to stop. Well, I gotta think that people that were working in the art department or Ed Beach, the head producer, or any of the guys at Creative, I have to think that year did help them. Even if they weren't actively working on it in the game, they had to have, it's a strategy game. Like, you got to be thinking of like different mechanics, or what if we did this? What if we did that? So when they were ready to start development again and go back to the office and start people working on things, like, they probably had to have had a couple ideas here and there, just being like, hey, what if you tried it like this? Or, I was thinking about this during the break, and what about this? And what about that? And yada, yada, yada. So for me, I actually think COVID and them being halted probably helped, which is also my theory when it comes to the next GTA game as well, who is connected to 2K, obviously. So that's just a random side note. Definitely going to be probably some very giant DLCs. City-state bonuses are very cool. City-states are more unique and more interesting than ever before in Civilization 5. I absolutely love it's weird to see them disappear during the ages, but overall, I really like their existence. I don't know if I want some to stay around sometimes. If I really liked an antiquity era city-state, and to see them disappear during the exploration era or the modern era, I'm kind of sad, especially if I grew to be connected with these guys. Even if I didn't grow up much of a relationship, it's still nice to kind of see them there sometimes. Yeah, and overall, here's my final thoughts. For a day one strategy game, not bad. Whether it's Firaxis or Creative Assembly making Total War games, or Paradox creating grand strategy games, day one strategy games, day one is going to be the worst the game ever is. And as time goes by, that game is going to get built up more and more and more, and it's just going to build off of the layers. Like, you got to have a good foundation, and now you expand upon that. So, there's plenty of updates that I'm sure we can expect. Firaxis is amazing because I'm now realizing like I found myself again, just like when I was a kid playing Civ for the first time. I still am addicted to those next turns. You know, they have managed to get me even at my old age when I don't really have a whole lot of time to be playing strategy games. They've managed to get me to continue to hit next turn, continue to want to continue to play a game for like straight 12 hours. I haven't played a game for 12 hours straight in a long, long time. So they did it. And it's just like, man, Firaxis has found some magic in a way. Even though I was complaining for a lot of this video, it's like, I'm impressed because so many other games that tried to rip off Civ in a way, Humankind and Millennium, and there's so many other ones. I'm like, there was just a hollowness to it all. I just couldn't do it. Even like Endless Legend 2, I just cannot. I don't think I even really like 4X, to be honest. I don't think I like 4X games, and I definitely don't like 4X games in the style of Civ. It's only Civ. Firaxis just, I don't know. I can't put my finger on it, but they just have done something right. They have some sort of formula, and it's the only game that I can play. It's the only game that really feels good. I don't know. Maybe it's just the 30 years of experience now and all that, but it's impressive. Obviously, because it's day one, there's gonna be a ton of people complaining on Reddit and here on YouTube and yada yada yada, but that's fine. I mean, that's the normal life cycle of a strategy game. And I mean, look at Civ 6. I thought Civ 6 was going to be overall kind of like a middle of the road. There's a lot of people that just love Civ 6. I thought it was going to be kind of a middle of the road installment in the very beginning, but you give enough time for a strategy game to breathe, and it doesn't matter how horrible it starts off, it can become magnificent and literally one of the best games by the end of its life cycle. And I just love that. And I trust Firaxis. They're obviously going to be able to do that because they've done it time in and time out. So yeah, with all that said, I'm giving this, for a day one strategy game, an 8 out of 10. It's really good. I don't feel comfortable with a 9 out of 10, but with updates, with DLC, it's definitely going to hit a 9 out of 10 one day. And that's funny because I did a lot of complaining in the very beginning of this video, but I just have so much faith that they're going to be able to do it. I have a lot of faith in Ed Beach. I have a lot of faith in the team over there as a whole. Yeah. And I would love to include more things that I disliked about it, but honestly, that's it. The AI will get fixed. The expansion packs will come out. The game, the metas, and the thing that people find on Reddit, there's like, oh, this is a hole in the game. This is a hole in the game. That'll slowly get patched out, and I really believe that it's going to be a pretty good game overall. But right now on day one, you can definitely still play it and have a good time. So yeah, that's it. Releases very soon, and let me know what your thoughts down below is. I'm curious. I'm sure the community is going to have some backlash, but that's fine. I think a lot of people are going to enjoy it, especially if they're jumping into a Civ game, into the Civ franchise for the first time.